Hello everyone, this is Hart, and this is Dragon Force 2. I hope everyone's having a good Halloween. Um, I did a little Halloween LP last night. I played through, what was it called? Dark Tales from the Lost Soul, and I'm probably still a little bit creeped out from it. Normally I'm not really that creeped out by stuff like that. Okay, Silent Hill's a bit creepy, but like Resident Evil, Fatal Frame, all those kinds of like survival horror games, although there might be like jump scares, like where I'm like, but generally it doesn't really creep me out, whereas that game really creeped me out, probably because I played it by myself in the dark. And the reason I did it and put it up, well, it was really early this morning for me, so still the 31st, is because you might think, but it wasn't Halloween yet. That's because I live in the future. If you live like in America or even people back in England, it wasn't Halloween yet, but that's because you live in the past and I live in the future. Kind of cool to think about it that way. So I figured it was already Halloween and it'll get me a chance to put it up so that people could actually watch it on Halloween. But anyway, back to Dragon Force 2. Okay, so we managed to defeat Kaede, and now she's here to meet with Sanith. And Sanith wants her to cooperate with her. And Kaida's like, oh, I can't believe I got defeated by such a weak girl. But then she's like, oh, who's this guy? Pointing at Shen. She's like, oh, I like a good man. Or a strong man, even. And then she's like, so, to Sanith, you want me to help you, right? Okay, that's all I need to do, okay? And Sanith's like, is it really that easy to get you to help me? And she's like, well, as long as I'm here with Shen, I'll do anything. And Shen's like, okay. So I don't know. Kaida's probably like the what do you call it? Oh, I'm having word failure. Not comic relief. Comic relief. That's the word. Kaida's kind of like the comic relief in this game, kind of the way that Gongos was in the first game, who's kind of hapless and just used to kind of make a fool of himself. Kaede is just not a womanizer, a man-eater. That's it. I was like a manonizer? I don't think that's a word. So now that we've taken out Izumo, you can probably tell from this little fortifying map, there's not many places left. There's a little pocket of Dogo people up to the north, and there's some unclaimed castles as well. But other than that, to the south, there's only Highland and Bozack, which are white and green, respectively. So their monarchs are Aberts for Highland and Gangus for Bozack. This turn is not too interesting. It's mostly just me moving my troops around, getting my monarchs back out of Izumo's territory towards the middle so that I can have them move south again. And just a lot of filling up troops and things. So kind of a recovery phase, if you will. So not that exciting. There's another little cutscene here, so I've left it in at normal speed. I'm not really sure what the trigger is for this. Here Paulson says, hey Sanith, I found a secret. And Shepard's like, you're not meant to call her Sanith, you're meant to call her Princess Sanith. Basically he discovers that using two maps, he puts two maps together and notices a link between two caves. So now there will be a path between the caves on the map that I showed you towards the beginning of the game, that they're kind of dotted all over the place. You go into them when you want to fight Dogul to get materials to synthesize with. Those caves that are close to each other are now connected, so you can actually walk across them, which basically functions as a shortcut. I have a feeling that for Sanith, that you discover those particular shortcuts whenever you defeat Izumo. I'm not entirely certain, but if you didn't want to have to wait to bring all your monarchs around the long way, you can wait for that cutscene and then you can skip across the ocean using the cave shortcut. But either way, it's the same difference. I can't really remember what the trigger is for it, as I said, so I'm not sure when you get to be able to use those shortcuts with other monarchs, but it's not game-breaking either way. It doesn't really change that much. It just makes things a little bit quicker. It also means that you can attack the remaining monarchs from a few different places as well. So it gives you a few options there. Oh, if you think this castle looks massive, it's because it's level 50, which I'm pretty sure is the maximum level, which means you can recruit 550 soldiers at a time. I'm not really sure why that particular castle ended up leveling up way before any of my other ones, but there you go. I find the most useful castles to level up, I may or may not have already mentioned this, are the ones just to the west of where I have my cursor now, south, sort of in the desert area of Highland. The reason for that is that's an area that you're going to spend a fair amount of time in the end game, and it helps to be able to have a lot of recruits available to you, which means you can just quickly recharge your generals. It's not essential because there's no time limit in this game, and once you get to the end game, you're not likely to... There's a slight risk at the beginning of the game of if you take too long, other monarchs will level up much quicker than you, and they'll be too strong for you to take over their territory to defeat them. And they may very well come and attack you, so definitely it helps to be quite aggressive at the beginning of the game. So in that sense, there is time does come into play towards the beginning of the game in the first half, but once you get beyond a certain point, you have this kind of inertia where you have so many generals and so many monarchs already on your side that even if you're fighting high-level troops, you're always pretty much going to be okay. It's not as tight as in Dragon Force 1, which I suppose is a con for this game. Dragon Force 1 was, when you started out, Goldark and Reinhardt in particular were very, very strong, and they were usually pretty far away from any of the generals you could select, except for Izumo. Izumo was kind of bang in the middle of them. So they presented a challenge, and there were the Skull Children as well, which were sort of these immortal bandits that kept coming back to give you experience, whereas now they're in a cave, so you can pretty much leave them be if you want. So I guess this game is maybe a little bit easier than Dragon Force, so if Dragon Force 1 stressed you out, you should try this one. Okay, so here we're fighting his name's Furete in Japanese, so Flete, maybe? And Genbu. Let me find Flete. He looks kind of like Korde, the female swordswoman with green hair who has like the same torso, I think, sprite. So they may be related, I don't know. Here we go, Flete. He's a fencer, his element is earth, his starting level is 5. Oh, I'm very sorry. It's a 20-year-old female human from Highland. Oops. Yeah, it's a girl. Sorry. That happens a lot in this game. When on an adventure with her father, she was attacked by soldiers from Tristan and was separated from her father. And she fears Shirshira. Oh, that's Shirshira. Maybe Cecilia? Shirshira. I think that's another character. Okay, yeah, sorry, that was a girl. My bad. Okay, Genbu is this character. Let me find him. Genbu. Genbu is a ninja. Oh, I'm fighting him with Kaede if you wanted to see what Kaede is like on my side. Really the same difference. Genbu is a ninja, his element is darkness, he starts at level 7. He's a 45-year-old male human, and he's from Izumo. And he wears what seems to be an iron mask. Okay, he escaped his village his ninja village together with Mitsuhide. Mitsuhide was the guy who had like a green scarf on. He was also a ninja character. Okay, as you probably noticed, these fights, especially now that I have so many monarchs on my side, are really not too challenging anymore. Because there are, let me get this right, I think 8 monarchs in total? Let me see. Sanith, Lenny, Edelbach, Shen, Aberts, Gangus, Kaede. Who's the other person? Bart. Okay, yeah, so there are 8. And you can only have 5 people in a... I think I've already mentioned this, but you can only have 5 people in a traveling party at once. I tend to split my monarchs down the middle and have 4 and 4, and then a spare of some kind, for example, Barley or Tsubaki or whoever I like for the time being. And then here I'm just spreading out units just so that all of these castles are occupied. Because there's no longer any threats from any of the areas surrounding this castle, I can have just sort of one unit just settle into a castle and not have to worry about it too much. Also, when I go through trying to convert people that are prisoners of war, you may have noticed in 2 turns ago when I originally got Kaede to join me, as is the case with other monarchs. Once their monarch joins you, the sort of pivotal plot characters tend to all join you straight away. You do have to talk to them manually as prisoners of war, but they're pretty much guaranteed to join you. So characters like Fujimaru and Megumi, once Kaede joins your side, will have no qualms about joining you as well. So it's definitely, if you're not really making a habit of going through the list of prisoners of war, if you find it a bit tedious, at least make the effort to go through once a new nation has joined your side. Okay, Santiago's like my best builder guy, so I'm going to move him to Oris Castle. That castle down there is, that region is the region I mentioned just previously with being in the desert and useful in the endgame. So Santiago, I have the best luck with him when it comes to building. He usually gives me the biggest boosts in castle level, so I'm sticking him there for now. And being that most of my monarchs have 100 troops each now, refilling them can actually take quite a long time if I've just newly taken a castle. So what I'm going to do here is try to get rid of Hilda and company that are sort of camping in that castle in the middle. So I'm taking Sanith, Kaede, Shen, Bart, and Lenny? Actually, I didn't take Kaede. I think I want to though. Here I'm deciding who to take with me. I'm going to take these prisoners of war because then it's quicker. Once I occupy a new castle, I can just dump those prisoners of war there and they can occupy it, my monarchs can move on. So it just makes life a little bit easier for me later on. Okay, so here we have Helena, Dora, and Hilda. We fought Hilda and Dora once before. They were Abert's older sisters, his second and third older sister, respectively. But I believe this is the first time we fought Helena. Unfortunately, Lenny still doesn't have particularly useful skills, so I have to use Hyperstorm a lot. Hyperstorm is good in a situation like this, where Hilda has a large number of troops grouped into the center of the battlefield, and also since she has Resurrection, she rarely has a shortage of troops. Hyperstorm doesn't damage the enemy general, so that's a really big drawback about it. If it did, then it would be a lot more useful.